Do it!
The Harry Potter series of books and movies have become a massive part of growing up since Bloomsbury published J.K. Rowling's first book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, in June 1997. Today, we're going to be talking about the story of he who must not be named, but who will be named for the sake of this video not being an hour long. Tom Marvolo Riddle, aka Lord Voldemort, the central antagonist of the series, and the evil wizard whose noseless face haunted our childhood nightmares. Or was that just us? Anyway, make sure you stay until the end as we discovered some little-known secrets behind the decisions made by Rowling, Ralph Fiennes, who played Voldemort on screen, and the filmmakers over the course of the series of films. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Trendcraze, the go-to destination for binge watchers and TV junkies. Make sure to subscribe for our weekly videos where we cover the hidden world of your favorite movies and TV series. And now, on to the video. Lord Voldemort / He Who Must Not Be Named / You-Know-Who / The Dark Lord / The Heir of Slytherin was born Tom Marvolo Riddle on New Year's Eve, 1926, the only child of the witch Merope Gaunt and Muggle Tom Riddle Sr. That's right. The Dark Lord himself is actually a half-blood, a powerful choice when you consider what the prejudice against Muggles can be a metaphor for in our world. Gaunt had used a love potion on Riddle Sr. to force him to reciprocate her feelings for him, but after she became pregnant, she stopped using the potion as she thought he would have fallen in love with her by then, especially with the child. You will not be surprised to hear that Riddle Sr. did not play ball, and young Tom was left without a mother either after she died shortly after giving birth to him and naming him after his father and her father, Marvolo. Tom was raised as a Muggle in Wool's orphanage, where he was increasingly displaying and abusing his newfound magical abilities, which he had an unusual amount of control over for a child his age. He could move objects with his mind, manipulate animals, and do something so horrifying inside a cave that it traumatized 2 orphans into silence. To quote from the women in charge at the orphanage, there have been incidents, nasty things. Billy Stubbs' rabbit. Well, Tom said he didn't do it, and I don't see how he could have done it, but even so, it didn't hang itself from the rafters, did it? She was speaking to a young Albus Dumbledore, who was sent to convince Tom to attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry at the age of 12 in 1938. Riddle already hinted at his need to be special, saying that he did not like his own name because it was so common, and displaying no surprise when being told he was a wizard. Once Dumbledore proved he shared Riddle's powers by using a flame-freezing charm on his cupboard, Riddle was eager to share his abilities, including being able to speak Parseltongue. This clearly rattled Dumbledore, who was concerned by Riddle's abuse of his powers and already keen sense of mortality, unable to accept that his mother was magic, as she should not have died if she was. This clearly serves to explain Riddle's preoccupation with immortality and Dumbledore's decision to keep a close eye on him, although he did note that he should have done that in any case, as Tom was alone and friendless. The Sorting Hat had no question over placing Riddle in Slytherin House, and he almost immediately began causing a historic level of chaos and death, especially considering he was a teenager at boarding school. However, Dumbledore was the only teacher at Hogwarts who was not fully taken in by Riddle's performance. Over the next few years at Hogwarts, Riddle himself says that he was seen as poor but brilliant, parentless but so brave, a school prefect, a model student. Secretly, Riddle was obsessed with his family history, convinced his dad must have been the magical parent. Finding out through his middle name that he was actually a Gaunt directly connected to Salazar Slytherin contributed his decision to adopt the alias Lord Voldemort, severing his link to his filthy Muggle father. We learn in the second book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, that it was Riddle who had opened Salazar Slytherin's Chamber of Secret during his 5th year at Hogwarts and commanded the monster within to attack Muggle-born students, a hatred stemming from being abandoned by his Muggle father. After a student named Myrtle Warren was killed in the girls' bathroom, that's right, Moaning Myrtle, the Board of Governors decided that Hogwarts would be closed. Riddle had made a special request to stay at the school over summer and not return to the orphanage. But this became impossible with the closure. He realized he would have to close the chamber and provide the board with a culprit to keep the school open. and he framed his fellow student Rubeus Hagrid and blamed his pet Aragog instead of the basilisk. Hagrid was expelled. Riddle received an engraved trophy for special services to the school, but he earned himself an annoyingly close watch from Dumbledore, who did not believe that Hagrid was responsible and consequently arranged for his groundskeeper position at the school. Riddle realized he would have to keep the chamber closed under Dumbledore's scrutiny, but he had grown increasingly obsessed with his search for immortality and managed to preserve a part of his soul within his own diary in the first of his 7 Horcruxes, with the goal someone would finish his and Salazar Slytherin's noble work at Hogwarts. The series puts a lot of focus on the connected lives of Tom and Harry to demonstrate the two extremes of how such difficult early lives can lead to the use of power. The two are actually related, as despite being half-bloods, Sirius says in Order of the Phoenix that all the pureblood families are interrelated and both are direct descendants from the Peveril brothers. The House of Gaunt, Voldemort's mother's line, was known for a history of mental instability and violence, as well as a devotion to inbreeding to keep the bloodline pure, and this surely also contributed to Riddle's decline. Much of what Voldemort did during his years after Hogwarts, before his infamy, is not revealed to the audience. But one massively influential event in his life took place around August 1943, before he had even left in 1945. He went in search of his family and was told the story of his Muggle father by his down-on-his-luck uncle, Morphin Gaunt. Riddle was enraged and stunned Morphin, took his wand, and murdered his father, grandfather, and grandmother. He then altered Morphin's memory to convince him he was the killer, leading to a sentence of life imprisonment in Azkaban. Tom had the temerity to take the Gaunt family's signet ring from Morphin to later make his second Horcrux, going as far as to wear it proudly around Hogwarts. This second Horcrux was possible due to the weakness of Professor Slughorn, who answered Riddle's questions about the unprecedented act of splitting his soul into 7 under the belief it was academic curiosity. Riddle was certainly academically gifted, receiving a medal for magical merit after his 7th-year exams and earning outstanding marks in every examination. Riddle actually asked to teach Defense Against the Dark Arts, intending to secretly recruit students and learn more of the school's ancient secrets. The headmaster, Armando Dippet, said he was too young, but to feel free to reapply in a few years against Dumbledore's advice. After his graduation in 1945, Riddle instead charmed Helena Ravenclaw into revealing the location of her mother Rowena's wisdom-enhancing diadem, which was in a hollow tree in an Albanian forest. Casually killing an Albanian peasant on the way, Riddle took the diadem and made it his 3rd Horcrux before rejecting a number of potions in the Ministry of Magic, and instead taking a position as a purchasing agent for the dark artifacts shop Borgin and Burkes, located in Diagon Alley's edgy counterpart Nocturne Alley. Burke himself, about 18 years earlier, had paid a fraction of the value for an invaluable gold locket, which was once the property of Salazar Slytherin from Tom's destitute mother. Between 1955 and 1961, Riddle had distinguished himself for his ability to charm people into selling their most valuable artifacts, and he was sent to visit a woman called Hepzibah Smith, who Burke had sold the locket for an arm and a leg years earlier. When she tried to impress the handsome and charismatic young man by showing him what she did not know was his birthright, Voldemort killed her and framed her house elf so he could take the locket. He also took a cup once owned by Helga Hufflepuff and disappeared altogether, much to the shock of his employers. Riddle was abroad for 10 years, saying, "I have experimented. I have pushed the boundaries of magic further, perhaps, than they have ever been pushed." He made a brief return to appeal to new headmaster Albus Dumbledore for the Defense Against the Dark Arts job. Riddle left after Dumbledore questioned his true intentions, stopping off to hide the diadem in the Room of Requirement and taking the time to curse the Defense Against the Dark Arts position, which no teacher held for more than a year afterwards. Riddle then disappeared again to enhance his abilities and gather followers, Death Eaters, ready for the First Wizarding War, which he started in 1970 and lasted for 11 long years. By this point, Tom Marvolo Riddle had transformed completely into the figure of Lord Voldemort, the personification of evil, and the perfect villain to contrast against the journey of Harry Potter from a sweet, naive, but largely invisible child to the courageous hero ready to sacrifice himself for the good of the world. So, do you know more about you-know-who now than when you started this video? If so, why not subscribe to our channel, or go ahead and click one of these 2 videos on your screen. Thanks very much, and see you there!